Welcome back. So you're having trouble with your lighting and you've got a model and you've worked so long on it and it just needs that final little step to get over the line to make it look like a portfolio piece. So like my last video, I was able to take the ZBrush file and take it straight to Substance Painter. Now we're going to take that same ZBrush file and we're going to move it straight into Marmoset. We're going to get some really good lighting. So stay tuned. Welcome to another video, guys. Sorry it's been such a long time. I think it's been over a year, but you know, after that one video, I've received quite a lot of feedback and just people needing help and stuff like that. So I've come to you today with a quick little demo or tutorial or just tip for lighting your models straight out of ZBrush. So if you look on the screen now, you'll see this model right here. It's low, right? So it's a pretty low poly. So like my previous video, which I'll tag, this model here is essentially the same model that you would take out of ZBrush and put into Substance Painter. Now that exact same model you've taken out of ZBrush and you put it into Marmoset. So now you're sitting here in Marmoset and you've got a gray model. Don't worry about all the holes and everything and the mesh itself. I haven't really optimized it, but I'll do that in another video. The mesh is just looking the way it is. You have a default material on it and you just don't know how to light your model. If you look to the left, you'll see obviously pretty simple, the exact same model, but it looks so much better, right? Arguably, it looks so much better, yet I still haven't even played with the lighting, which I'm going to show you today, is how you can go from this to this and then make this look just so much better than it does right now with just the most simplest rendering settings, sky settings, camera settings, and a material setup. So if you go over to your material section here, I have a section where I can get rid of this. I literally have one material for this one mesh. So I duplicate this mesh with the default. So I hit duplicate. This is a brand new default mesh. So I go like this. This mesh now, right, is essentially exactly the same as this one. So they're both the same, but I'll go back on that. So this mesh here, I recommend very minimal amount of work, but the work is kind of, what should I say? It's kind of just, you have to tweak it a little bit. So you have to play with it depending on how you feel. So for an example, obviously the albedo or diffuse, right, that is it's a necessary feature that you need to give your character or your creature or whatever textures it needs. And Marmoset, it's amazing because you can also play with how you want it to look. Like the texture I textured out of Substance Painter or ZBrush is just too light, or it's too, it's not the color I want it. So you can pretty simply just come in here, drop it down to 50%. Next thing you know, you've got like that real nice, dark, gritty kind of creature. But for this, I'll just keep it at normal. I do recommend going straight to detail normals. This allows you to apply the normal map, as you can see. Quite simple. Apply a detailed normal map. My detailed normal map, you'll see, is pretty simple. Go on Google skin alpha texture map. You'll get something pretty similar to this. It's essentially just skin, and what you do is plug that straight into here, and here you're able to just play with the size of it. So if I get in real close on this mesh here, you'll see that, see how it slightly shifts. So that there is max. So that's blown the texture all the way up to just, massive. So if you slowly bring that down, what this is going to do is this is going to add just a tiny little bit of extra detail normals over your mesh. Just give it a little bit of extra bumpiness. And then obviously I apply a secondary weight map, which is the exact same texture normal map as the original normal map. And this way I'm able to just control a little bit of extra normals on my mesh. Normals, done. Second thing is your roughness map. Plug in the roughness map that you pulled out of Substance Painter. You can even get it from ZBrush. These days you could even chuck a diffuse map straight into a Google browser, and you can spit out displacement, metal, roughness, normals. So sometimes you just off the diffuse map, you don't even need to go through Substance Painter. You can just bake out these meshes on a website. Easy. Boom. Plug that in. Play with the roughness. Obviously, super slick is too wet, and this here is too dry. and I feel like my model looks good somewhere in between here. Play with it yourself. You can also just flick through invert, and that way you're able to just see what actually is being affected. I like how down in this bottom section of the mesh is where all the skin is kind of overlapping. I like how I'm getting a lot of light rays bouncing in between those little skin meshes. Just gives like more of a realistic approach. Obviously, diffuse map is plugged in. Now, this is a must. I will argue with anyone that in diffusion, I will say there's nothing better than subsurface scatter. So go diffusion, plug in subsurface. You can look like, I'll just do it from scratch or go none. That's what my mesh looks like. Okay, that's literally what it looks like. Subsurface scatter, that's what it's going to come in. Just play with this feature. Like, look at this. As soon as you just bump this mesh up a little bit, you're already going to get some nice skinny stuff. Then you start playing with translucency. Then you start playing with the depth. Start playing with this. Play with the fuzz of this. And like, you're already at a good place. Like, that it's better than it already was. So I'll go back to my setting, and you'll see how mine is pretty much nothing's different here. Copy these inputs if you really, really want it to look just like mine. But once again, I just eyeballed it and I played with these here on my own to get my favorite result. Specular, you don't even need a specular map, okay? You don't even need a specular map. What I would recommend instead is switch the channel to RGB, plug in a nice blue rim and a nice light blue, and then play with this here. So what this here, as you can see, without it, it looks like straight up out of Resident Evil. And this mesh it looks lovely. But when you plug in this blue map and you're able to just pull it up a little bit, what that's going to do is that's going to bring some like skin blue reflections out. And what you can see, it slightly tints the skin a little bit blue. So it gives a little bit of extra realistic approach to your models. Reflection, I pop in a GGX. It's once again, it's not really necessary. You know what I mean? You can see the difference. It adds obviously a little bit of extra details to your reflectivity. Secondary reflection, I pop in a blend Pong, however you want to say it. Once again, you can copy these settings here, pause the video, copy them, input them in however you want. Once again, I've just played with them myself. Like you can see most of these settings won't actually do anything until you turn them off, and then you can see they slightly do something. Realistically, occlusion map doesn't really matter. The only reason I pop in an occlusion map is because I like to play with extra diffuse in my specular and cavity. So what this does is this just gives me an extra like modifying tool, like, or just a slider, so I can just tweak my model slightly a little bit more in the areas I want it. So say I want, like, once again, I want my model to look lighter than it does. Boom. But I can also do the exact same thing here. So let's say I pop this down here in the diffuse map, I can then bring it up again slightly, you know? So it's like, okay, it's 50% gray there, but now if I pull this up, I'm able to get like those 0.5, 1, 0.2, 0.3, just to bump up that little bit extra. Let's pull this back up here. So that there is great for the diffuse cavity. Once again, you don't actually need anything here, but I do recommend popping in just like a displacement map. If anything, to be honest, you could probably plop in a roughness map or something there, just as long as it's something in that setting. And then, yeah, obviously the custom, I don't really have anything. That was just on for no reason. And that's all. That really is all. The rest of what you're going to do, like this here is just, you know what I mean? It's just such a good material. What I do is I save this material and I just use it. I use it across all my characters. I take this material, I slap it directly onto another material, and then I tweak those exact same settings, plug in them textures, the normals, the diffuse maps, the cavities, the roughnesses, everything, and then I just tweak them to fit the character and the vibe that I'm going for. So the next step that I'm going to say is a must is your render settings. Your render settings are going to change this model completely. So number one is obviously tick high DPI. It's a no-brainer. Anti-aliasing 4 times. You'll see, watch the model as I'm doing this, and then go back over the video and then just play with them yourself. But keep your eyes on the model and you'll see how much it's affected by what I'm doing. So I hit 4 times temporal on anti-aliasing, high DPI. I go local reflections. What that does is that just nulls down those extra specular bits a little bit. I go shadow resolution. I go ludicrous because look at that difference already. Low, I lose all the detail. Excuse me, all the detail around all of this section here. As soon as I pop that in, I'm getting just extra shadows in between these sections. I hit enable GI, hit diffuse and specular, and then I will pump up the occlusion detail to 4 times, and then the voxel resolution to high. And already you're getting some just nice, deep, just shadows, and just it's more realistic. The lighting is setting a mood. Once again, you don't have to go with these settings. You can play with them however you want based on your character. Like some people just don't like, you know, extra diffuse. Like they say that that's good enough. I like it to be a bit more cinematic, and by doing that, hit the diffuse button. And then the last thing is ambient occlusion. Ambient occlusion is subjective. Do whatever however you want. I recommend putting it on regardless, and then just playing with it here, seeing how far you want to go. Because even if you go all the way down, and then turn it off, it's exactly the same. So just keep it on, play with it, keep it up high. You can play with like where it's reflecting off of your model on the size here. So play with it however you want. I like it, so I'm going to keep it on at a very minimal. And that's it for render. That's it. But actually, that is not it. There's one more setting we're going to do, but it is the last thing you do because it will chunk your memory. So this is, so everything on here is exactly how you want it to be. Leave it as that. Let's go over to the camera. So the camera is, once again, it's subjective. I have these settings. So I have limits, obviously keep the limits of use in the viewport. My lens, I normally would have a depth of field to add extra just blur, but you can do all of that in post effects, so they can do that in Photoshop. So I don't like to screw around with it that much. And then obviously my post effects settings is, you'll see always HEJL, I think it is, because if you start to play around with them, you'll see some of them are really good for, like, don't get me wrong, like I can get some good renders out of this and I can apply them onto my art station or something like that just to show the model completely. But if you want to get like that nice realistic touch, go straight to this one. You know what I mean? You can also play around with everything. This one here's got like a real good vibe to it, and it shows kind of different, like different skin, kind of like even the veins through the face. But I like to stick with this one here because I feel like I get an overall just a pretty good render. And the settings here are just the way they are. I've always kept them like this. I don't change them too much. Once again, you can obviously play around with it, like, you know, like you can go crazy, but I keep mine at pretty much the same in every project I do. I just change all those other settings. And that's it for the sky, for the camera. Now I'm going to go straight into the sky. Now this preset here is a feature that is just absolutely amazing. I love it. It's just click and go. The best thing about this is that you're able to just toggle through this and just see which one you like most. Like, look at that one already. You know what I mean? So just go through this here, just clicking on it. I'd even recommend getting some renders out of almost like 5. Like choose 5 of these, get a render of each of those 5, and then in like after programs like Photoshop or something, pull them in, look at them, and just be like, okay, don't like this one, like this one. So you're able to play with some pretty good rendering there. Everything there is pretty subjective to yourself too. You can change the brightness and everything here. I usually keep mine as a solid black in the background. If anything, sometimes I do like an ambient sky, and then I just kind of just toggle this a tiny bit just to get that extra gray or something like that. But for this purpose, I'm going to do black. Black is just easier to see. Yeah, lighting obviously is a massive thing. Once again, I have within my sky setting, I have a bunch of different lights. So if I zoom out, you'll be able to see. Most of the time, it's just one light just looking down on the model. And you can see pretty clearly how it just slightly lights it up. So like without that light, I'm able to see my model pretty good. But with that light, I'm able to get just a little bit of extra lighting. If you want, you can duplicate a light, pull it down, flip it around at the front, and then just start playing with some lighting a little bit more like this. You know, I want like an underlight to come upwards on my model. That way I'm gonna get like the bottom of it as well. And by doing that, you know, I've lit up the bottom of the model as well now. Play with it, test it, whatever you like most, do whatever you feel is going to make your model look the best. But remember, just don't be afraid to make mistakes and just be like, you know, oh shit, I didn't like this one, so let's get rid of it, try it again. Try it again, try it again until you're happy. Yeah, and obviously the rim light is a big, when you want to give that extra glow from behind, you'll see that I have like behind my model, there's like a strong blue light. Let's have a look. There's a strong blue light that, or just any light you want really. I love this because, like, you know, in a situation like this here, you're able to see, it just pops the side of the model a lot more. So, you know, you'll see like still a good render, just extra. This here, you can change it to however you want. I would like, you know, look at that. Look at the subsurface scatter come through there. Amazing. So you can play with this however you want. I usually go blue because I think blue gives just like an extra like ambient like look or feel to like a setting or an environment. Once again, you can even turn this off completely. So and then play with the brightness here. I like to keep it at quite a little bit. So, you know, just a little bit to just to hug the edge of my model. Yeah, and then when you're done, this is what I was saying earlier. When you're done, go into render and go to resolution and bump this up to 2:1 double. So much better. So much better. Like if I get in here, and obviously it's starting to chug on my machine already, but look, if you go to half, blurry, 1 of 1, not bad to work in and experiment. But then when you're going to render, pop that up at 2.1, you just see overall the whole model just pops out a little bit more. And then when I'm ready, I just start getting some renders. I just go capture, image, boom. Look at that. That was actually pretty quick. That already captured an image to me. And I'm able to go and just like show output folder. And it, depending on how you want it, that might spit it out as a PSD or whatever. So if you go settings, change it to JPEG, okay. Also go to settings. Actually, while I'm here, I might as well go through it. So if you go into your capture settings, I like to get a little bit of extra resolution on my models because I'm not rendering out just a simple character in the middle of the screen. I'm actually rendering out the whole screen because it's capturing the whole screen. So instead of just doing match viewport, etc., I just bump it up a little bit extra. So 2560 by 1440 is actually good. If sometimes I'm feeling like it's going to be a portfolio piece, I'll go up to that extra 3840 by 2160. But for this purpose, I keep it at 2560. This here, obviously, once again, you can go crazy. You can hit it up to 400 times. You know, if I've got the time, I will go 400 times, but somewhere around 100 to 25 is good enough. You can pump out a JPEG. You can hit transparency, which just means it will get rid of the black background. But, you know, you can play with the background color in here. So, and as well as getting in Photoshop, you can also just remove the black background. So you should be pretty good. The video settings is something we might have to go over in another video, but that's if you want to do a turntable. Pretty easy, but we'll stick to this. Once you're happy with that, I'll do image and open, so you'll be able to see as soon as it finishes the render, it'll actually open up the image as well. And you can get a quick turnaround time. Like, look at that. Like, this is straight out of the render screen. Look at this. Like, this is 100% acceptable in any kind of just concepting, 3D modeling, portfolio stuff, or just like anything that just you want to do yourself personally. Like, I'm able to get such a good result straight off like a simple 2 settings, the render settings and obviously the material. Those 2 are the big like must when it comes to any of this kind of work. I recommend it. And if you're interested, we'll see how this video goes, and I'll drop the project in the description. And you know what, you guys can have it, and you guys can do whatever you want with it. I want to make it pretty easy for everyone. I want you to be able to just take your model, put it into this project, and then create a material just off of what you've seen and just put it onto your model, and just you're done. So yeah, I hope you're happy with what I've just shown you today. I've given you another insider tip. And yeah, just stay tuned, and hopefully there's a few more to come.